Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So you, dear Patricia, how are you? And Dr. Nico, I think it's just a gentleman I've seen. Good afternoon, depending on where you are, probably good morning or good afternoon. Talking about the sovereignty bill that is being presented to Parliament, of course, we have our own reservations. The protection of sovereignty bill. The first reading was last week. We are processing the bill, and I think by next week, given what is there, we'll be engaging in the ethical debate of the bill from the second reading, when the report will be presented by the committee in charge of defense and internal affairs. And definitely we go to the third reading of analyzing clause by clause from definition section, the objectives and desires of the movers of the bill, which is being moved by the Minister of Internal Affairs. What I can say is that, does this law exist elsewhere? Yes, absolutely. There's no question about that. Is it so necessary? That one we can argue. Of course, it's subjective. Different people will have different opinion on whether this law is really subjective or not. But does this other guest understand Luganda?
Nico will understand slowly. We shall explain to him.
Will you understand Luganda?
When he comes here, we have to follow the majority.
Dr. Patricia,
it's okay. You can because I am in the minority, and so I understand that I will not be understanding everything. So with
But I thought
there are 600 people watching this live, and
the
some of them
majority,
from Uganda.
the majority understand English as well. You're not in the minority. Actually, there are very many Ugandans as well who do not speak Luganda or understand it. So, given the sensitivity of the bill, you know, Uganda is multi-tribal. We have over 65 tribes. Not every tribe here speaks Luganda. So, probably
what we'll do, Honorable, you can make
I'll
a
mix.
session in
I'll
English,
mix. I'll
and
mix.
then we mix with.
I'll mix. So, one, as an individual, I have reservations about the bill and what it talks about, because it talks about primarily movement of money from people determined as aliens or foreigners into the country. Now, countries in the recent times have been clamping down on movement of money. They started with the anti-money laundering bill. I remember when they brought it, and it was an issue of stopping terrorism in what they call moving together the unipolar world instead of, multi legislative world, and not where people should move on their own. And you know, transactions in Uganda were blocked as a result of movement of money in illicit ways, etc. But now this one, as it comes through, it poses two challenges. And we shall talk about the limit and threshold. It talks about businesses, it talks about organizations, which might include schools and others, but as a cover. But what am I saying? Does it boost the bulk of the business that is operated between Ugandans, those in the diaspora and those at home? Most Ugandans in the diaspora send monies to their families purposely for support, not basically for politics. A few Ugandans in the diaspora actually do send money for political reasons. Very few. Are there organizations that do support different interests within the country that might be political or on social agenda, like gay matters, etc., environmental matters, to mention but a few? Yes. But how does government legislate around those? Through the certification of NGOs. If you think an NGO is not compliant, then what you do, you write to them, and if they do not come up with compliance measures, then you can put limitations and sanctions. Not what we call a blanket law to hold each and every person that is transacting, primarily even for private matters. I was looking at what we call those that do economic interest lobbying, and they are there. For example, you are doing consultancy, it's called economic interest lobbying. I'm doing a consultancy, let's say for company Y that is interested in clean energy, and it sends me $600,000 or euros after having an agreement with them. The requirement at the moment is that I only have to present that agreement to the bank to receive that money. Let's say it's called I&M Energy. It wants to do solar energy and it has hired me as a consultant, and I'm in Uganda, prefers to send me 650,000 euros for that purpose of consultancy, groundbreaking, etc. Does that mean at the moment, and these are the questions we are going to pose to our colleagues, does that mean that in this instance, therefore, I have to go and seek a clearance from the Minister of Internal Affairs? In any case, assuming there are 6,000 transactions of that magnitude at a weekly basis, how will a single minister or a single ministry handle the clearances of all those funds? I think it will be a huge challenge. I think we have to use mathematical data in challenging these people by putting it forward that, yes, you want this bill, and it's for protection of sovereignty, but governments do audit political parties, and they are actors. And for the NGOs, you have the law that licenses, you can license or revoke a license of a non-government organization at any time as government, as you so wish. Is there any requirement for this law? Is it the much needed law to help you clamp on this? And the answer will be no. In any case, the very law is talking about funding that goes to a minimum of 400 million. Will it stop people who are sending 50 euros, 100 euros from the diaspora to support their political partners? For example, someone has, let's say, the office of Ecological Party or of NUP or of DP or of FDC in Kayunga or PPP, has, let's say, a celebration, provided they are organizing a football tournament, and all they need is $200. And you have 20 people in the diaspora, each of them sending $10 to 10 people. Will this law really be a biting law, or it will be rendered redundant? Because you're talking about a limit of 400 million shillings. I don't know anyone in the diaspora who single-handedly has sent 100,000 euros to a political organization. And in any case, they wouldn't be stupid to do that. If they wanted to do so in any case, they would break it down and say, we are 30 people, we can send this money to another 50 people, and we can send it in bits and weeks. Therefore, I think it requires a lot of not only emotional intelligence, but also data-based analysis to help the people who are framing this law, to show them that it will be so much detrimental to the ordinary person, and it will create a new window of corruption for those that have been, in charge of authorizing the receiving and outflow of money. In any case, you have what we call the Financial Intelligence Authority in Uganda. The FIA can block any form of money that is transferred to Uganda at any time. You don't need this law if you have the Financial Intelligence Authority, which is authorized under the law. And under all money laundering acts in the world, they consult the FIA in Uganda. If it red flags, even if it's 10 shillings entering on your account or your mobile money, the government of Uganda single-handedly through the FIA, the Financial Intelligence Authority, can block your accounts and require you to appear for investigations if it thinks the money has not come in good order. So I think if the government feels that it will not fund political activities, then political parties must look elsewhere. For example, if I have an alliance with the Greens and I'm in the Ecological Party, and it's within the desire for the Greens to say that promote clean environment in Uganda, and they are saying, amongst all others in our agenda, is to send you, let's say, 300,000 euros to support tree planting and conservation as part of our agenda. Do I really need to go to the Minister of Internal Affairs? If so, of what benefit is that? What agenda? What detriment agenda are they moving? Because these ones are thinking about things like treasonous acts, funding war. Of course, Trump was very reckless recently when he said they sent money and weapons to demonstrators in Iran. But it's known intelligence organizations will do that. Do they need most of them don't need to go through organizations. They go through their embassies. They have different operatives, and money will find its way into certain countries if they so wish. The CIA has done this time and again. So I think this law is going to be redundant. It is a huge deterrence to investment because it talks about investment, and for me that is where, if you want FDI, foreign direct investments, where people would like to partner with Ugandans, whether Ugandans living in foreign lands or Ugandans that are living in Uganda, to either exchange knowledge or even exchange money to start investments in Uganda. Finally, if this law becomes a threat to what 90% Ugandans do, is remittance of money at home to support families, which has been one of the biggest, which would call one of the best and biggest sources of what has grown our GDP. How has it come in? Most of the revenue and the money we've taxed that is coming in is from Ugandans that are living abroad, that are sending it to support their families. It is in trillions of Ugandan shillings. If it becomes a deterrent, this is a government you're seeing shooting itself in the foot. Is it because of the comfort that oil production is going to start, that they do not care about remittances of Ugandans that are living abroad? I don't think this will be a wise. If we create a sound argument based on such facts, I know we'll convince many that are in this parliament, because ours is a parliament that is transitioning. There's someone trying to insist call. In any case, why don't they leave this to the parliament that is coming in, to the incoming parliament? Why are they trying to rush this bill? Because there is no need. Give it time, make further consultations. Uganda is not closing tomorrow, and we can move the way we want to move. But I think this is a government that wants to see itself policing every single note and money that is coming through the country. And in any case, money comes electronically, and all the laws, including the Act of BOU, the Electronic Money Transfer Act, and ETC, and Systems Payment Act, authorizes government to block money. So if you have suspicion that this money is to cause havoc, please go and block it, then move to court with the individuals that are there. But there are people that are doing forex trading. If I'm doing forex trading, probably I move in with about $10,000. I'm in Uganda, but I'm trading on a platform that is not based in Uganda. Probably, I'll give you an example like XNet. So XNet is based wherever it is. I'm trading in the Japanese market. So I hit and come up, let's say, with $100,000, and this is electronic trade, and it has to be settled onto my account in Uganda. Do I necessarily go? Do I need to go and seek authorization from the minister in charge of internal affairs for me to settle this payment? So these are questions that should be put to most of the legislators that probably are not alive to the economic transformation that is based in the advancement of technology,
Can
that
I
probably
ask
some
something?
of them don't understand. Yes, Dr. Nico, go ahead.
Yes, Honorable Nsereko, thank you so much for coming here on this platform with a lot of your enemies. And I think I read that you are the creator of the Computer Misuse Act. Is that right?
The amendment, the act is
Yes.
there, the parent act is there. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, exactly. So I am very surprised that you are against an act that is increasing the power of Museveni, while you yourself amended a law, brought it to parliament, that was equally bad for Ugandans. Take Kakwenza, who was tortured and arrested under that law. So many Ugandans, at this moment, TikTokers, are being tortured based on the law that you submitted to the parliament. So I'm very surprised that you are opposing this law. Maybe you're a little bit jealous, but in retrospect, may I ask about the Computer Misuse Act that has now been regarded unconstitutional? Isn't the High Court of Uganda right that that law was simply unconstitutional?
Well, the findings of the court, if you've read them as regards the same, of course, I appreciate your views. I don't know, starting from what we've been talking about, I mean, where would the jealousy come from about my country? Talking about the protection of sovereignty bill, or because there are very many bills where I've opposed government, actually very, very many. And those where I've found it important that it is very necessary for the protection of our countrymen to live in a harmonious way. Of course, there are very many challenges. Different countries have different cultures. And you pose a question of the Computer Misuse Amendment Act. And what did I propose? I proposed things to do with hate speech. I proposed matters to do with incitement of using verbal violence towards...
But look at that hate speech. It's only used against opposition supporters.
Do not worry. Listen to me, because at least you posed the question, and I deserve to tell you this. I know you have a law there, and the EU Parliament passed it, against hate speech against the Jews. You know about it?
Yes, but of course the big difference is that in Europe we have independent courts.
I'm just asking you. I find it not fair.
No, but I agree with provisions on hate speech. But you know very well, Honorable Nsereko, that in Uganda we have Museveni courts. And the Museveni courts will only go after hate speech against the dictator.
By the way, that is not true. That only
people please give an example of someone that tried to insult Chigolani. Right? Chigolani has been severely insulted. Has ever someone been brought to court for insulting Chigolani?
Dr. Nico, can I give you my views? Thank you very much. If anyone has insulted Chagulani, like everyone has insulted me, no one has ever been brought to court because they insulted me. But there are very many people that have insulted me or other people. You understand? But that doesn't make the law mute. If I wanted to do so, I would come up with what they call a private prosecution. I've seen people like, even those members of the NUP, like a lady called Juliet Zawede, a known funder. When her mother was insulted by one NRM cadre called, this gentleman is from Busoga, if some people can remind me his name, on Facebook, he insulted the mom of Juliet Zawede, who is a known founder of the NUP and the opposition, that the mother had... Kibedi. And she successfully prosecuted Kibedi using the law. So, yes, the media has been caught awash with prominent cases, but I think the law in itself had created a lot of sanity, and people were willing to discuss matters that even if they were disagreeing, they were not are seemingly abusive. I would like to tell you one thing about our culture, and probably it might differ from the European culture. We do not believe a lot in abusive language that is carried by people either mated on two families of people or by attacking people based on their tribes. Yes, are there those that do it even when they're in government? I absolutely agree with you. The fact that they are not brought to book does not mean that those cases will be buried. After they leave power, they can be charged by those. They can be charged with those cases. And I can tell you, very many people in government have been tribalistic. They have been sectarian, and the law doesn't protect them. They can use the tools of the justice system now to protect them, but in future they'll be brought to book using the same law. For example, if you commit murder today, you can walk away with it. But later, when the tools are not on your side, you'll definitely be charged. So the law, the amendment in the law was a creature in trying to bring out sanity amongst Ugandans that were not only using social media, but we also talked about hacking. And in the era of artificial intelligence, you've already seen, and many people realize at the moment that someone can use AI to produce another Dr. Nico, seemingly in a hotel room, sleeping with someone. Here, people are very sentimental because it's so cultural. Family ties are so, create a lot of attachment. So if you stop that, and people cannot be sanctioned by the law, then they will go by the law of the jungle. They'll start beating around everyone and them. Therefore, in my opinion, the courts relied on absence of quorum. They did not say that the law is bad in its own totality. They said that the quorum was not there. And what I hear is that the government in the next parliament is presenting a full law on the cycle to accommodate those clauses, and they'll pass it with a fully formed quorum. But if you say that was the law that was being used, even those that were charged, that are being charged, could be charged using other laws like incitement of violence, etc. And the same laws would act upon them. If government has used it and has misused it on certain individuals, that's definitely absurd. Like it has misused very many other laws, but that doesn't stop the law from being very, very good.
Well, for example, it is ridiculous that someone has been convicted for saying that Janet Museveni is dead. I think I have the liberty to say Janet Museveni is dead. I'm even happy about it to say that. But it is ridiculous that it is forbidden to say Janet Museveni is dead. We don't know whether she is dead.
Dr. Nico, you know of that conviction? Do you know anybody that has been convicted or someone has been remanded? Because it's two different things.
That is the same thing, right?
It's not
the same thing. He is behind bars and he is being tortured. And he is accused under that law. And of course they remand him.
Let's get this. Let's get this well. There's a gentleman called Mukose. There's a gentleman called Mukose who clearly came out and stated that Janet Museveni is dead, which is not true. But he's not a relative. At least he's not a relative of her.
No, seriously, how do you know that Janet Museveni is alive?
But Dr. Nico, let's go slowly, probably. One,
I like to go fast.
Okay, that's fine. The gentleman is not a relative of Janet Museveni. We might differ politically, but I have no right, at least under our law, to misinform the public with authority that you're either unalived or you are alive. That is not my responsibility. There are very many things you can report on that can grow a nation rather than stating that someone is dead or alive. In my opinion, I think that is bad manners. If he's tortured,
speculating is okay, right? We don't know.
I want to be clear. If it is torture, that is wrong. No one should be tortured. But if you say he was arraigned in court, then that means the due process of following the law has now been accorded to him. He was presented and arraigned in court and has been remanded.
But Honorable, there is no due process. Just yesterday, the wife of the bodyguard of Bobby Wine was arraigned in court and was remanded.
I
There
beg
is
your
no
pardon?
justice in Uganda.
Come again? What did you say?
The wife of the bodyguard of Bobby Wine yesterday, after
The,
being incommunicado for a
the
month,
wife of
was
the wife of the
arraigned
bodyguard?
in court and remanded.
I don't know about this. I don't know about this. The
But
wife
that,
of the
honorable, is how the courts in Uganda are used. They are
Doctor,
abused. They
Dr. Nico,
are abused.
if that has happened, that is wrong. As a lawyer, I condemn that.
Yes.
I condemn that you don't hold someone beyond 72 hours and you present them. And if there is any lawyer that represents those people, if they so wish, they can plead that the rights of the accused have been violated.
Can I also ask another question? Dius, is that okay? I would like to ask another question to the honorable.
Yeah, you can ask one more question, please.
Yes, because honorable, you are a friend of Mohamed Segerinya and me. I also got to know Mohamed Segerinya 2 years ago when he came to Amsterdam as an MP. Again, he was locked up without due process, innocent, tortured, and he told me himself that he was tortured. So my first question to you is, do you know how severely Mohamed Segerinya is tortured? And you, as a friend, shouldn't you have stood up for him? A colleague MP. His balls were pinched with needles. That is what he told me. And he also told the same thing to a Dutch journalist. And I expect other MPs to stand by him, but instead he was just left alone in prison and later he died. And then the other thing is that you then had the guts to accuse the National Unity Platform of not helping him, which was a very hypocritical thing to do, because the parliament is supposed to cover health costs for MPs, including for Segerinya. That is my question.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Nico, since you're a member of the National Unity Platform in the diaspora, let me make this clear. Before you saw and met Segerinya, I sponsored Segerinya, the late Segerinya, to be a counselor. I paid his school dues for him to even have that level of education to qualify to be what he is. Do I deny that the late Segerinya was my friend? Not at all. In matters where things were going wrong, he confided in me a lot of stuff. Did I go to visit him and Honorable Sewanyana in prison? Very many times, and you can check the records. So there is a lot they spoke to me that I'm not at liberty to speak. Probably it might not be exciting to the political party.
But I think you're entitled to tell if he reported to you.
In future, I'll put it in my book, probably in my memoirs. Was Honorable Segerinya tortured in prison? He did not tell me about this. Did Honorable Segerinya had personal health ailments? Yes, he did. He did have them. Did the imprisonment of Segerinya and remand for a long time exacerbate his diseases? Yes, it did, because it created mental stress on him. That is one. But also, I can tell you he lost hope because he thought he had lost many friends. Let's talk about his release.
So, sorry
Dr.
to interrupt, but you heard the recording of him testifying that he was tortured, right? Do you think it's credible, or do you think he was lying?
Let's go slowly. I leave it to the deceased. You know, I know what can be said by a politician. I know Dr. Nico. I know there are very many Ugandans that come, some of them when they are seeking asylum. I don't want to say about this because I'm a lawyer, that come up with different stories, and you know that. And I know that.
You know that he even asked me to take a picture of his genitals because it upset him so much. So, and I definitely think, Your Honorable, that he wants the world to know what happened to him. And the
Dr.
reason
Nico,
why he didn't tell
Doc-
you yet, I think he was afraid.
no, that's okay. But Dr. Nico, I also know that you know the medication he was taking while he was there
Yes.
had nothing to do with torture. He had a lot of acute problems with his liver. I know you know that absolutely very well, and his lungs. So his respiratory system was broken down and he had acute infections. The same is in his medical report in Nairobi. So it's privy, but since the guy is deceased, I think it's important to let the guy rest the way he has to rest, because there are very many things that could have caused his death or could have quickened
Maybe
his ailment.
Honorable
Nsereko,
just a minute. Okay, you can
But
finish.
Honorable,
and
you
I will come
remember
into-
the slogan of Mr. Update. And if I recall correctly, it was keep fighting.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so him being deceased does not mean we stop fighting, Honorable. We
No,
keep
no,
fighting.
no one has stopped you from fighting, Dr. Nico.
No, but
and
he
let
even wants to keep fighting, and he is doing that. And I
Absolutely.
want to thank him for his legacy.
Absolutely. And I've seen people lose people, and people use the same slogan. I will not do the same. When we were handling the matter of the late Segirinya, someone said that I accused the NUP. I actually did not have any accusations against the NUP. If you saw what I spoke in Parliament, I said they should increase his funding so that his bills are met.
Well, let me be precise.
However-
Sorry to interrupt you.
however,
Actually, you
just a second,
secretly
Dr. Nico.
recorded
The
a call with
spokesperson- I did
Sigarinya
not.
without his permission.
No. We were on a live stream like this. I didn't record him. I'm sorry. You got it wrongly. We were on a live stream and he said, let's go on a live stream. It was him who said it. So I hope
Surely
that's
someone
clear.
in the comments can comment on that.
No, I don't need someone. I don't need someone to comment on that because the live stream is still there. I didn't record him.
I can come in a
there were
bit.
other
I can
people.
come in a bit to. I can come in a bit to moderate and ask a question because
There were other people.
The story of-
naye saagala
Yeah.
omwami ono abule. Just njagala muwe the facts as they are because he's a member of a political party. And at least
I would like to.
I want
Honorable.
to have him get to the bottom of that. Then
Yeah, Honorable Nsereko, just a moment. I would like to come in and I want to get a clear understanding between what Dr. Nico is asking and what you're answering. Because it is sad when we talk about the situation of Honorable Segirinya, it is very sad. By that time, I had just joined TikTok and I found a live stream where Honorable Nsereko was hosting Honorable Segirinya, a
Thank
member
you.
of Parliament,
Thank
who
you.
was asking for help. But what Dr. Nico is asking too, okay, just a moment, because TikTok is telling me to confirm.
you've been there for so long. Yeah. Okay.
What I want to ask, I will not differ so much from what Dr. Nico has said, but I will just put something right here because I had just joined TikTok and I found a live stream of Honorable Segirinya asking for help. He was crying, saying, Muganda wange munyambe, Honorable Mfo Bulumi. Those were his words.
Translate
Dr. Nico,
for
they
the
means
guest
that,
so
please,
that he understands.
Please, I need help and kindly help me. But what I'm picking from Dr. Nico's words is that why would a member of parliament,
No.
this might not stop
Don't
with
speak
Honorable,
that
this
because Dias, Dr. Nico is here to speak for himself. So don't interpret.
Yeah.
Tell
Okay,
him.
I will
tell
speak
him
for my.
exactly.
Let me
Just
speak
a second.
for. Let me speak for
Tell him
myself.
what exactly he found. What exactly happened?
Yeah,
In
because
English.
I found him on your live studio, and you people were trying to solicit money.
No. Go back. What did Segirinya say on my live stream?
No, he said, I'm dying. He was in total pain and he needed help to help him. But the question here is, why would a member of parliament come out to ask for medical help, finance, from maybe a person like you or another Ugandan, or come even on a live stream, a member of parliament? Because we would think, like what Dr. Nico said, that he's a member of parliament who should be sponsored and paid off all his bills by the government. Why did Honorable Segrinya not get this help needed to save him? That's the thing I would ask from you, Honorable Segrinya.
I think you don't need to ask that from me. You probably needed to ask it from the left, because it was he asking help from me. Before you were there, he was a counselor. He asked help from me. Probably you didn't know him.
So let me say something about it, Honorable. At this moment, I can say that our friend, I call him Hero, Mr. Update, was sick, and he was also very confused. He was looking for help, and he was just trying to get help any place that he could get it. And I find it sad that the government of Uganda took advantage, abused that situation. Because Honorable Segrinya, he loved Bobi Wine. But instead, what he was saying was used against the National Unity Platform and against Bobi Wine. And I know that Segrinya was very unhappy about it. And let's face it, we also know that there were some things that we don't know exactly what happened, right? There were some reasons that in Luganda, Segrinya was never willing to talk about the torture that he endured, because he was afraid. It is very clear there was blackmail against him. He couldn't always speak what he wanted to speak. And I don't know why it was me that he told me for the first time, and that journalist, that he had been tortured. Because in Luganda, he was never able to tell that story, but it bothered him a lot. It bothered him a lot. That was clear. That's why he was asking me to take that picture. And can you imagine a grown-up man lifting his dress and saying, "Please make a picture," right? It's a very funny situation. But I didn't expect that 1 year later he would be dying. That was very
Dr. Nico,
yes.
Dr. Nico, if we would quote the deputy spokesperson of the NUP said Segrinya was lying, that he was not sick. That's what he said.
I mean, you and me, we have both heard the diagnosis. So he was sick, period.
Yeah,
he was sick,
you're
right? He was also tortured.
What I'm saying are facts.
And look, I don't want to talk about Alex Waiswa, because Alex Waiswa has been in jail for over 6 months, accused of a drilling that he didn't attend. So I don't find it appropriate to bring him up.
He said, and the video is there, that Segrinya was never sick. He was playing drama, that he was playing drama to make a comeback to the people, that he knows how he plays his dirty tricks. This wasn't me. It wasn't you, Dr. Nico. This was this gentleman.
Yes, and it was resolved. Yes.
What was resolved?
It was resolved because
all
of us are a member of the same party. All of us have been locked up.
What was resolved?
Yeah.
I think Mufumbi
just a second.
came out.
That's he was apologizing for what he said later. Okay? But
he
that
came out and apologized.
did that take away the issue that he was speaking for on behalf of the NUP, that was Segrinya was lying? Wasn't he the deputy spokesperson of the party? He said,
but he wasn't speaking on behalf of the National Unity Platform, because you've never heard Bobi Wine utter those words.
I'll give Dr. Nico.
This guy came on video and he said, "I'm here to speak as the deputy spokesperson of the party." The video is still there. And he said, I know Segirinya, you're lying. You're not sick. You're forging every medical report. You left Uganda walking. You couldn't have gotten into a wheelchair. That was his view. So why would you, Dr. Nico, expect, even when we say government was wrong, after the deputy spokesperson of the party where this gentleman belongs has said that he was lying, and then you want to say that the government neglected him? So who is to blame?
I will give Dr. Nico one more chance to